Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of FooTea Fantasy, where we talk about football and FPL over a cup of tea. This is the Game Week 10 review episode, and I'm your host Shouvik, and I'm joined by my co-host Sourav. If you've been following us regularly, you knew last week that Sourav was just outside the 100k in FPL, and to start this pod with a little suspenseful music, Sourav has broken into the 100k. So we'll start this pod on that pretty positive note for him because it might not stay that positive for him going into the pod because he's an Arsenal fan and well, not to break the ice, but yeah, Arsenal didn't do that well this game week. But we'll start on a positive note and let's see how Shorov's team did. Shorov, why don't you take us through your team and also how you're feeling going to the top 100k.
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, I expected a decent green arrow in this in these weeks since I had some of the fewer good attackers from the good teams, but not going into the 100k. I mean, that definitely comes as a pleasant surprise. So, I mean, from a game week where people were clutching at straws, 55 points seems decent. The average, as we can see, is quite low. Below 40 is is a average we rarely see. Now, the notable players that mostly hold were Salah and Solanke that were highly owned. So I didn't own Solanke, but I got Salah and captained him. So I got that 18 points. Now I'll go through the team. Starting in my goal is Flecken, which was a rough affair, dropping from 12 points to just 4 points for the
Yeah,
late
that,
to
that must have hurt. It last 6 minutes or so, 6 or 8 minutes or so. He went from 12 to 8, and then I think to 4, 8
yeah.
or 6, I think, then to 4.
Saddest part is I slept after 70 minutes, so I was dreaming of a clean sheet and then woke up to 4 points. So I think it was quite uh, painful just reading about it. Now the other the rest of my defense did horribly. Trent, being one of the good fixtures, got his clean sheet wiped out, 2 points. Lewis didn't even start, came off the bench with 1 point, and Luca Digne unlucky with any assist, and their team performing horribly in defense with 0 points. Luckily, not a yellow card and negative or a -1. Now, my midfield did fairly well. Both Johnson and Rogers in the same game returned, and with 2 and 1 bonus points, so that was good. Salah, like I said, 18 points, captain. Boomo didn't do much. He was subbed off with a clean sheet, which literally changed the game. And in my attack, Haaland and Jackson did nothing with 2 and 1 points. Wood, being the consistent performer he is, with a goal and bonus. Now on my bench, Semenyo unexpectedly had a goal and the highest bonus with 10 points. Something that we talked about, like Semenyo could get a lucky return. He got a return, but it wasn't lucky at all.
Yeah, we were
All
talking about him returning in the preview pod, and
yeah,
you were close. You wanted to start him, I think, but probably he didn't have the
I
fixture.
couldn't bench. Yeah, I couldn't bench anyone. I mean, I couldn't bench Johnson or Rogers or Boom or anyone. So
Yeah, actually, a lot of this happened with a lot of people this game week, especially people who sold Haaland. They bought in a good a striker who had a good fixture and got Salah. A lot of people, not you, but and that what that did is that changed Rodgers from their seventh attacker to their eighth attacker.
yeah,
So a lot of FPL managers benched Rodgers as well this game week because of that move, and they missed out on Rogers 9 point. Similarly with Semenyo, I think
a
everybody,
lot of
almost
people sold them.
everybody,
Sold
yes,
him.
and everybody who held on to Semenyo because he had two or three poor fixtures, and this was the last of those.
Yeah.
So people who held on to Semenyo, I think everybody wanted to play Semenyo this week, but just didn't have anybody else with a poorer fixture or a tougher fixture, so couldn't make logical sense out of it. But yeah, I think everybody who had Semenyo wanted to play him because everybody knew he could get a return, and to get a goal and three bonus, I think that exceeds expectation. But yeah, good performance from Semenyo.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a positive thing because I think till game week 20, Bournemouth have a good run of fixtures, and yeah, holding on to a player who plays 90 minutes is quite good. So yeah, that's my team. Now,
Yeah, let's move on from all rosy good things to absolute hell and disaster. So yeah, I had a back-to-back red arrow. This is my second consecutive red arrow, and I had a poor week again. I had 33 points, and for everybody on audio, I'll just read out the team. I have Raya in goal, who gave me a three-pointer. Uh, Lewis came off the bench, one pointer. Konate went off injured. I think I was unlucky there. But lucky in the sense that he didn't break his hand. We have got that news. So he'll be fit again for the next match. But a one pointer from him. I think he came pretty close to scoring a header as well. But anyways, at the end of the day, one pointer. Mikolenko, two pointer against Southampton. Painful to see that goal go in the end, and a shock result as well. We'll talk about it later. Rogers, probably the only one returning in this team. Nine pointer from him, savior of my team, whatever savior you can say, probably. Uh, Foden, the biggest disappointment I'd say of from the last two, three game weeks because he was somebody. I was expecting to give me some kind of return, some kind of rank boost. And my only concern actually when I transferred Foden in was his minutes. And surprisingly, the only problem that I have not faced is his minutes. He has played 90 for his two prime fixtures. Um, Against Wolves, I think he did not start, but there he got the assist luckily. But the two matches where he played 90, he's blanked in both. So two-pointer from him, very disappointing there. Son gave me an assist, and I can't help but feel so unlucky for the Son pick because if he would have stayed till 90, the way Aston Villa's defense fell apart in the last few minutes, I can't help but feel that he would have got another return, maybe a goal, maybe some assist or something. So Son again very unlucky there. Mbemo again, three-pointer. That one point of clean sheet feels so lucky to me this week, the way it has gone. Haaland blank, I'm really running out of patience with Haaland, and I can't wait for De Bruyne to be back in for my FPL team. Uh, NDI two-pointer did not actually expected a little bit out of him because again Southampton as a fixture was good for attackers.
yeah, this is the fixture you held him for.
Yeah, I held him for Leicester and Southampton. Leicester, he did get a goal, but Southampton, I think the most disappointing part was probably him being subbed off at 63 minutes. That was surprising because he has been playing around 90, even if not 90. Uh, but 63 against Southampton was very disappointing to see. Watkins, much like a little bit like Phil Foden, although with Watkins, this narrative could so easily be something else because he had two big chances in the first half. And if he puts them away, this is a masterstroke. And he missed it, and this looks like a disaster. So,
Yeah, it will also, I mean, it would have also been an Rogers assist, so
yeah,
come away with a lot of points. The same case with Foden and Haaland. The last
yeah,
ball that Foden puts in, Haaland heads it out. That's what, like 14, 15 point swing.
yeah. And I think Foden created two big chances for Haaland, one of which you just described. There was another big chance that he created for Haaland, which he missed. Foden himself came very close to scoring in the end.
In the first half.
Second half
Yeah, second half
in
as
the
well.
end.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, his shot just skimmed off the post. So could have been a week of could have been if all those chances or half of those chances went in. If Son played 90, this could have easily looked like a masterstroke. But at this point, it looks like a disaster. So even now on paper, you can't really hate this team. It looks really good on paper, especially with the fixtures and all. But with the inconsistency there, I think yeah, big changes incoming because the rank drops that I've had to endure has been huge. because I'm not owning those um, players whose effective ownership are very high in Salahs, Palmers, and Sakas. So yeah, we'll see. We'll discuss more about the future of my team in the next pod probably. But yeah, this is it. 33 points from me. A big rank drop. My bench had Fabianski, Aitnouri, and Carvalho. So no returns there either. So yeah, that was about it. Nothing much to talk about. So I think enough of our review and the teams, how our teams did. Let's move on to the actual football that was being played. And I think this week we have so much to talk about, both on the good side and some disappointing part of it. But let's start on a positive note and start with our new league leaders and deserved league leaders, I would say, given how the sample size of 10 game weeks have gone. Liverpool beat Brighton 2-1, go to the top of the table. Saurabh, what did you make of this match, their performance? Because you have been high on Liverpool since day one.
Yeah, so Liverpool. The way Liverpool attack, I have no doubts that they would score. I mean, we were picking up Darwin and Salah and even Trent at times. So I won't. I mean, defensively, it's a very difficult game against Brighton because Brighton is attack, attack, attack. But Liverpool showed their class in the attack. So the way they create or the way they transition is has been the same since day one. Just that they haven't been that defensive. Defensively solid, like or defensively lucky, I would say, like they were in the first 3 game weeks. So
Yeah, and but we'll come to Liverpool and talk about them a little bit more. But just before we move on to Liverpool and talk about them in detail, uh, let's give the due credit to Brighton as well. I think the first half, especially, Brighton really played well. I mean, they actually, if not dominated, they did match Liverpool. Liverpool did not have much of a sniff in the first half. Brighton, from their performance, what we saw against Chelsea, or their much talked about high line and their defensive fragilities, I think they were very good in the first half. They held their shape pretty well. Very looked very stable for the first 70 minutes. They scored on the counter as well in the first half, the Kadioglu goal. And to be honest, they had a couple of more very good chances and could have,
Kadioglu had another chance as
yes,
well.
and they could have done more. I mean, they could have got that second goal or maybe got a third goal. But yes, they were very good in the first 70 minutes. I think the game suddenly turned in the second half. I mean, after the break, Liverpool came out a little with a little bit of more vigor, and the Anfield crowd grew louder and louder. And I think with the Anfield atmosphere, it spurs you on. So uh, yeah,
But that's
good.
what you, yeah, but that's what you expect from Liverpool, right? I mean, you have seen the first game against Ipswich. Ipswich were very attacking. They wouldn't let Liverpool get a chance even in the first half. But the second half, it's just experience, composure. That's all that mattered. Uh, uh,
Exactly,
yeah, so
exactly.
we have been talking about Brighton's defense and how they crumble, and this is the typical example of it. So, Estupinian, I mean, going forward, he's a very good left back, but in defense, he's one of the worst. And Salah exploited the fact like crazy.
I think it's a very naive mistake that Estupinian did, and that is to allow Salah on his left foot. If you remember the Nottingham Forest game versus Liverpool, we were talking the same about
Yeah,
Connor
Callum Hudson.
Bradley. Yeah, and how he allowed Callum Hudson-Odoi on his right foot, and
Exactly.
like everybody knew he was going to do that, and I felt the same thing just happened. Everybody knew that Salah wants to go onto his left foot and shoot. That's a trademark Salah goal. You've
Yeah,
seen highlights of that against Chelsea and everybody, you know. But that's what Estepinian allowed him to do.
and even then, I mean, you can't. Even if he doesn't score that goal, you can't allow Salah any space. He could very well cut in and assist anyone. So he has got way more routes to goal or to create that chance.
Yeah.
That's
But the kind of thrashing that we were expecting, this was certainly not that kind of a game. I think come 65, 69 minutes, you were thinking this might be a an upset from Brighton if they can hold on. But and if you remember, there was a 1v1 chance also that
Salah.
Kelleher saved.
Oh, sorry, you're talking.
Talking about
Yeah,
Brighton's attack.
yeah.
Yeah,
Keller has been really good.
yeah,
So he hasn't the Allison absence hasn't been felt.
yes. And that has been the case every time Alisson has been injured. I mean, uh, of all the big teams and the big goalkeepers, I think Alisson gets injured the most. His hamstring. Last season, we saw him spending time on the sidelines for a long time. Same this season as well. And Kelleher has been a good deputy, without a doubt. But yeah, you touched upon Salah, and Salah did have another very good chance in the game, so he could have bagged a brace, and the finish was also for the goal he scored was just a brilliant finish. We know Salah's quality and how dangerous he can be, but Gakpo and Darwin, sure, let's specifically on those two. What are your thoughts on them, and how do you see Gakpo versus a Diaz in that team, and who do you think suits more into the slot system?
I still am in favor of Gakpo playing the number 9 or the false 9 position because he has more creativity, is a better goal threat than Darwin, uh, and is good on his feet. I mean, he has a quick feet, can dribble the ball. Darwin cannot. Darwin has a poor first touch sometimes, and Gakpo is also an aerial threat. Diaz on the left is a pacey winger that every team has and uses. So Diaz is quite essential to counter attacks that teams like Brighton or Villa in the next game week will give. So
Yeah, and just while we're on this topic, I'd like to also touch upon what we saw midweek in the cup games, where Salah was rested and Diaz played on the right, while
mm,
Gakpo started on the left. That was a big kind of hint for me. Uh, just let's have a conversation on this because when Slot took over, there was already rumors and talks about him preferring Gakpo over Diaz or preferring Gakpo on that lineup because of the Dutch connection and everything else. We heard a lot of such stories, but because he had to start with Diaz, uh, and Diaz was in really good form, he couldn't really drop him at that point. But now going ahead, do you think has Gakpo nailed that spot? And especially in terms of if we talk a little bit about FPL, do you think Gakpo can be considered nailed or anywhere near nailed in
no,
on the left side?
no, that left side is something that's untouchable in terms of FPL. Uh, but how Slot does it, I mean, we have spoken about it some time back that 60-65 minute mark, Slot presses that button and either
Mm.
Gakpo or Diaz, they interchange. And that is something that will prove to be beneficial going forward because of this midweek congestions in December. I think that keeping both of them fresh will seem to benefit because these are two players with two different qualities and both are good. They provide something different to the team. Now, he wouldn't do that essentially with Jota and Darwin because Jota is a far better asset as compared to Darwin. I mean, both in terms of FPL or the game. Yeah, because Jota is creative, he can score goals. Darwin, as a matter of fact, he he would have, I think, missed the header if he would have touched it. I mean,
So,
the one that Gakpo
mm,
scored from.
yeah,
So
it's a lucky goal. It's a lucky Gakpo goal. But on this point, if I have to give a counter argument, Saurabh, you can always say that again because of the fixture congestion and Jota's injury record, we'll always see rotation there. Maybe again 60-65 minute subs and maybe the cup games or the less important games, Darwin may start.
yeah,
Uh, Again, just to manage Jota's fitness, nothing to do with their
no,
playing ability as
absolutely.
such. And
Jota will be managed.
yes, yes, and also a second point, which is probably at a very initial stage, but will evolve as Slot goes into more into the season, is the fact that Darwin has started to understand Slot's system and has started to work a lot harder. I think what the Darwin we saw under Klopp and the Darwin that we are seeing under Slot are two different Darwins that I think we've all noticed that on the pitch. So if Darwin can improve his game, maybe I'm not saying immediately that's a factor, but maybe it might creep up later into the season.
Yeah, Darwin, I mean, as a player, he's decent, but from a number nine playing Liverpool, you'd always expect him to convert chances.
Yeah.
I mean, we have talked about Firmino in the past, him being that creative, but he was a clinical finisher. I mean, he used to never miss chances 1v1, and in fact, he used to score from weird chances, especially against Arsenal. So, I mean, you'd expect that from a Liverpool number nine always.
Yeah, top team, top number nines. Right. I think that we've covered a lot regarding Liverpool and Brighton. Brighton, I would like to say that João Pedro is back now, and that is something to monitor in terms of FPL, where he fits in because their manager talked João Pedro up before his injury. He said he was every team has one crucial player, and for them it was João Pedro. So let's see how, because Rutter is performing so well, Welbeck is absolutely untouchable. Where does João Pedro come in this setup? It would be very interesting to see. So something to keep an eye on. I thought.
Yeah, yeah. Brighton, I mean, just to comment on that, so Brighton's 11 could change drastically because Kadioglu is playing the right wing. I mean, he's quite a versatile player. He can play right, left,
Yeah,
wings, and backs. So Kadioglu could very well shift to right back or a left back, and Rutter taking the right wing position and Pedro taking the number 10. So it could change drastically.
yeah. But there's something we have to wait and see because Rutter is playing very well in the number 10 role. So will he change that something that is working? I don't know. Probably. We'll have to wait and watch. So, Liverpool top of the table, but the team that they displaced from the top of the tree, Man City, they slid to a defeat at Bournemouth, and Bournemouth at home are now turning to be a real menace for big teams because this is now three back-to-back home wins for Bournemouth, and that includes a very impressive profile of Arsenal and Man City in there. So again, very impressive from them. But we'll come to Bournemouth later. But let's talk about Man City first because now, uh, you know, this was a concern since last 4 or 5 weeks. I think since the time they played Newcastle after Rodri's injury, and I think since that time, every pod or every game week review, we have been saying the same thing. I kind of feel like we're repeating the same lines again and again for City. And although they were somehow dishing out the results, this time they have faced the consequence. It's a loss. What
Yeah.
do you think of the match, of where City is going, and how can they improve from here? How do you see this going forward?
I mean, it's mostly City's attack. So City's defense didn't change much. I mean, although we say that City's defense was rock solid, it was mostly because of their midfield and attack that used to have so much possession that the uh, defense didn't have to do anything essentially. I mean, if you remember Ederson having no saves at all at times and
Yeah,
banging a clean sheet. So
yeah,
now that the essential part of that City's midfield, the place where Bernardo and Gundogan playing, is crumbling now. So they are not, and we have talked about that those two in there being strategically not very efficient is now showing up. So they are not just, I mean, not just, let's say, contributing less to the game, but they're showing their age. Gundogan, I mean, being the amazing player he is, he cannot run at the moment. And that's what is, I mean, you're playing that number 10 position. You have to have that Foden like acceleration or even the urge to go for the ball. So that's where City is being, I mean, City is losing a lot of their possession, and the wings, which was fairly consistent. We remember that Foden and Grealish playing, or sometimes it's Foden and Mahrez playing. I'm talking 1 or 2 seasons back. So this time it's been random. So it's because of those injuries. It's Nunez, Doku not being a good crosser. So and Foden not being there consistently. It's the team chemistry. It's everything that's not clicking for City.
Even I think Haaland's decision making and finishing, because
Oh,
we
yeah,
Haaland has started missing big chances, which is not really what we associate with him. Even the last 2 seasons, where he if he got a chance, he used to score, let alone a big chance. So if you gave Haaland any sniff of goal, he would have scored. But this game alone, he's missed two big chances. The Southampton game we saw, he missed, I mean, two literally open goals. So these are new kind of problems that are now creeping up. And even in their defense, we have talked about them having a lot of possession and not, have to do much defensively. But still, you did not really have these kind of issues with Kyle Walker. Now, the way he got dominated in this game was absolutely a spectacle to see. I mean, he was easily being, if you remember that game, I think
Fulham game,
Fulham game, yeah, again,
Dama, yeah.
they were outrunning the City guys easily, and you don't associate that with Kyle Walker and his pace and everything. And even in this game as well, he was being outrun, and he had absolutely no impact, no presence, nothing. So I think defensively also it is a concern now, that Pep has to sort out.
Just a point on Haaland's finishing. So Haaland's, like you said, that Haaland's finishing has been terrible. It's not unlucky. I mean, he has been missing those big chances, and a factor to that I still believe is the team chemistry, because previously we so Haaland in general is an incredible finisher. I mean, the best in the league. So it's like him, Isak, which which is who are rated highly, could convert any one-on-one chances. I mean, they're incredible in front of goal. So we have seen Haaland's decision making. We have seen Haaland score with both feet, volleys, headers, everything. The fact that he's not scoring contributes to the fact that he's not expecting those chances. I mean, the time frame of his decision making is becoming shorter. So he would expect a ball from KDB. I mean, anyone would expect a ball from KDB, or that Foden would run in and cut back. But now there are sudden crosses that are coming in that he has to react to, and that's what is factoring into those misses. I
Yes,
mean,
and
that's what I feel.
yes, and he has his structure is bulky, so by nature he's not very swift as a mover, although he's very fast compared to how he's built, but still it does play a part. So yeah, everything on point what you said there. I think the team chemistry itself looks out of place, and that is very unlike a Pep team, because in a Pep team, when they go out on the pitch, it feels like they're again on the training ground and drilled so well that everybody knows where everybody is, everybody knows what the other person is going to do. But
Yeah.
at this point, it just feels like, they're just passing around side to side and, not actually doing anything with their passes and not being incisive enough. And I think, coming to the game, I think Bournemouth exploited that to absolute perfection in both the halves. I mean, they were sitting
Absolutely.
deep, they were just waiting for City to come and take. They took all that pressure and just chose that right moment to attack. And we are talking about two goals in each half, but they hit the. I think Kirkis hit the post in the second half. First half also, they had a couple of more very good chances on the
And there
counter.
was an open goal in the second half as well. I mean, it could well be a 3-1 or a 4-1.
Yes, and yeah, Bournemouth, I think absolutely. You don't really associate this kind of a tactical masterclass from Bournemouth. They generally like to go out and play, which they did, but they implied some kind of a control over that free flowing football. And in pockets of the game, they were sitting deep and waiting for City to come. and chose their moment to counter, and they were so brilliant on the counter attack. So
Uh,
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about Bournemouth and Fulham being really tough opponents to play against, and this has been quite the example. I mean, Irola is a great manager. I always rate him highly, and with losing I mean, even after losing Solanke, Evanilson is a great replacement. I
yeah,
mean,
he
he
settled
suits
in.
that. Yeah, he settled in. He's the system suits him.
And he's good in the air. He has a good presence. He's a proper Premier League striker. I think if he has a couple of
A
good
good.
seasons, I think he can just transition into a very good striker for the Premier League. He has the attributes. I mean, looks like a very good player. And Semenyo again for Bournemouth, he's become the talisman out of nowhere this season, and really again an incredible performance from Semenyo. We talked about him at the start of your team selection, and he got 3 bonus points, and there's the reason why he got 3 bonus points. I mean, it's just not the winning goal, but the overall performance from Semenyo was absolutely mind blowing. So
Yeah.
a great player to for Bournemouth and for anybody who has him in their FPL team as well. So overall, a very good performance from Bournemouth, from Semenyo, Evanilson, I think the entire team. Just the defense, I think Bournemouth defense, nobody rated them, but I think there's a conversation to be had there now, especially at home. I think Bournemouth are doing really good. And as you said, Bournemouth, Fulham, and I think Nottingham Forest are right there in the conversation about teams whose defense is very difficult to break down, especially at home.
Nottingham Forest is will come to that later, but Nottingham Forest is sitting third. They have had a clean sheet at Anfield. I mean, we there's no point questioning their defense at the moment. It's quite stable.
Yeah. But we should not forget that was the post-international break week where, historically we have always seen something uh, out of the ordinary. But in any case, not taking away any credit from Nottingham Forest. One thing that I did notice, and I mentioned it on the slide as well, despite losing and losing, uh, not even on level terms, despite losing, KDB on the bench, but did not, I think, even come out to warm up. So I think that shows that although he was named on the bench, I don't think he's anywhere near ready at this point to start.
Yeah, I think today City's there's a City game. Is it?
Yeah, Champions League. Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
Champions League. So yeah, we're recording on Tuesday, and I think if we see a KDB, even a cameo of 15-20 minutes, I mean, I would take that as a positive because he would again cameo against Brighton, and the international break gives him enough time to be gelled into the upcoming fixture run, and that bodes well for Haaland and City.
Yeah, and they need him before the Liverpool fixture, I think, game week 14 or
Absolutely.
15. So, yeah. Anything else that you would like to cover? I think we've covered more or less everything. Foden, we have already discussed. He came close to scoring. I think he made a few good chances. Again, the narrative. If Haaland scores those, we would say Foden had a fantastic game. Haaland missed those. We are still on the. We are still saying that Foden is not back to his best. Nunes and Doku, I think Doku I think came off the bench and was quite good. Uh, Nunes doesn't have that finishing prowess. I think he needs to develop his finishing. I think he had a good chance 1v1, but couldn't finish.
And
So
Cavadiol with his scoring streak.
yes, I think Guardiola is the only shining light in that team, and he saved them. I think 3 weeks now
Yeah.
with some super strikes. So Guardiola is a positive right there. Walker's performance. Just the last point on this. Walker's performance. Do you think this makes Rico Lewis a more nailed striker,
Yeah. So
regardless of the fact that Rodri is injured? I think
yeah, yeah.
Rico Lewis.
Rico Lewis starts. I think this was more of a rest for Rico
Oh,
rather
and what did
than
I tell you in the preview pod?
yeah. the
Yeah, it came
Pep's
true. Pep said Rico Lewis is the only one who cannot be dropped, and I told you I have started to understand Pep and Arteta. I'm yet to understand Eddie Howe, but I have started to understand the signs that Pep and Arteta are giving. Rico Lewis benched. I was completely expecting that. You would not believe 5-10 minutes before the deadline, I actually wanted to put Aitnouri in. and take Rico Lewis out. Although that would have made absolutely no difference, but uh, still,
But I think, yeah, I mean, Pep was talking more from a strategic standpoint. If we look at it in hindsight, that Rico Lewis is essential to the team, and I mean, without Lewis, that defense and attack both looked way worse. So
yeah, I completely agree with you there. So let's move on from one disappointment to absolutely another disappointment, and that is Arsenal and your team, Shourav. And obviously, I'll have your thoughts in length here, but this my initial thoughts to this is a huge dent to Arsenal's title charge. They're now, I think, 7 points behind Liverpool,
yeah,
and the fact that they play Chelsea next is that makes that fixture absolutely gigantic for them. Because if they lose to Chelsea, I think they can just pack this season over because pack this season up because Liverpool are almost out of their tough fixture run, which we were talking about, and I think Liverpool is where you set the benchmark this season, and not really Man City. At least till the time KDB comes back and we see Man City functioning. But Arsenal, despite some good fixtures, despite some not so tough fixtures, have absolutely crumbled in this title race, and back-to-back losses on the road, lost to Bournemouth, lost to now to Newcastle, and just in terms of their gameplay and the kind of attack that they're creating, I mean, I think I read a stat today that they're bottom five for expected goals away from home, and that is just absolutely mind-blowing given that it's Arsenal, man. So sure, please you take us ahead. What did you make of what do you think is the issue with your club right
I mean, it's something that I've talked about in the last part as well. It's the creativity. So Odegaard missing, and most of the games previously. I mean, you talked about uh, big chances not being created in the past few games, which for 3 games we played with 10 men and had tough fixtures against Liverpool and City, with one of the most creative player in the league missing. I think that makes a huge dent in the team. I mean, the title charge going slowing down. I mean, that's a big factor to that. And also, so talking about this game in particular, we know that with Odegaard missing, the weight of creativity falls to either Havertz or Saka. Saka mainly. And if you take down Saka, you take away 70% of the creativity, especially on the right hand side. And Newcastle did exactly that. They got in his face, got in each and every attacker's face. Burn, Shar, they were right out there marking, tackling. I think it was
now? Hall
Joelinton who was
Hall and Joelinton were constantly on Saka.
Hall. Yeah, Hall was good. Hall had a good game. Joelinton was absolutely crazy. I mean, Eddie Howe put him there to mark Saka, but he was on the verge of killing Saka. So I think it was Joelinton had that in mind that he would go away with a red. So I think, yeah, that's what contributes. And from the left hand side, we don't have a stable player, especially Martinelli. I mean, it's more of a hit and miss with each and every game. Some games could prove beneficial to him, where they're holding most of the ball in the middle, and then Martinelli could run away with it. But it's not clicking, I think, and that contributes to the defense. So Odegaard, like we said, does a lot of the uh, dirty work where he falls back, tackles, and then transition.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah,
I think that's
and I think you just said that in Odegaard's absence, the creativity falls on Saka and Havertz, and the fact that I think Havertz is still being played as number nine, I think hinders to whatever playmaking Havertz could still do. If I don't know if I know as Havertz is much better at number nine, but in the absence of Odegaard, I wonder if Havertz could have been moved to the midfield just to give that
I think
creativity.
no, I think I would put Jorginho there. instead of Havertz. I mean, even though Jorginho doesn't have the legs, but he has way more forward passing ability and vision than
Yeah,
Havertz.
I can completely agree with that. Jorginho has the vision for sure, and he even during his time at Chelsea, he used to play some brilliant passes forward. So yeah, that is absolutely true. Uh, Mikel Merino, sure, we have seen a couple of games out of him now. We saw a Champions League game out of him as well. To me, he feels like a very sideways transfer in. I can't see
Absolutely.
at this point what he's bringing new to this Arsenal midfield. And to be very honest with you, I just feel if you just put Partey there, Partey might just do a little bit something magical or just might come
Yeah.
out with one pass. But with Merino, you just in his passing, I think I can probably vouch for the fact that he probably has a good header because we've seen that in the Liverpool game and even in this game. I think the only shot on target was actually a Marino header. But apart
Yeah.
from that, with his feet in open play, I just can't see at this point what Mikel Merino is bringing to this midfield.
No, yeah, like I mean, we have talked about Partey being quite essential at this stage. So Partey does has that uh, flair in him. I mean, he does. I mean, he has those nutmegs and the forward passes in him. Takes a shot. I mean, he even scored against Villa. So Merino is in my mind. Merino is more of a sub for Partey at the like 80 plus minute when Arsenal is leading.
Or
So
maybe a Declan Rice replacement if he's injured
exactly.
or if he needs a rest.
In case. But
Because they both of them look like they're doing the same thing, although Rice much better than Marino at
yeah,
this
the
stage.
thing with Rice is he has that great delivery in the box.
Yeah,
I mean, delivery of ball. Like he takes those corners and free kicks, and also Rice is, yeah. I mean, Merino is, but Rice is quite aggressive in attacking or those late runs. We have
yeah,
seen him score against United and a lot of goals last season. So
yeah, I
yeah,
completely agree with you.
yeah. Merino is more of a, let's say, squad player at this
Yeah,
moment
I think the
rather
hype
than a
around
starter.
Marino needs to be, a little, need to settle down a little to actually see what he's bringing into the squad because I don't see anything yet. Let's maybe going forward, he'll bring something to the table, but at this point, I can't see anything. And sometimes player need other players to bring the best out of them, and I think we can probably judge Merino once Odegaard is back, and if he's
And
then
Odegaard is back. He's back
yes,
in training with the
yeah, and he's expected to start the Champions League game or maybe make an appearance of the bench. Let's see. Hopefully, he's back.
which is huge. I mean,
Yeah.
we weren't expecting him before game week 12.
Yeah. So international break is where we were expecting him to be back, but if he's back, that's absolutely awesome news for Arsenal. I just hope he's not being rushed back because sometimes a string of poor results can, force you to do something that you wouldn't otherwise do. And if we've already seen 3, 4 games what an absence of Odegaard can do, and if he aggravates this injury and goes out even longer term, I think there is no worse scenario for Arsenal than that.
Yeah,
So even if it takes a game extra, I think he should come back after complete recovery. That is what I can
ab-
hope for them.
absolutely. And not just Arsenal. I mean, as a player, we don't want that. We
Yeah,
don't want a long-term injury ever. So,
yeah.
and now, mo-
Newcastle, we have not really talked very positive about them for this season, and they have not looked that good. But this game, uh, do you think sure they have turned a corner because again their midfield looked right on point? I think this was the midfield that got dominated by
yeah,
Chelsea's midfield. We're just talking about it last pod that their midfield could not compete with Chelsea's midfield, and hence the result. But in this game, it is the midfield for me that won the game for them because they perfectly countered the 4-4-2 structure that they made against Arsenal, and they blocked out their defense. Sorry, blocked out their midfield of Rice and Marino. And anyways, they didn't have much creativity there, but blocking them off completely cut off the lines for the forward for Arsenal's forward line. So I think their tactics were good. The execution was good from the midfield. Isak and Gordon, for me, the two most important players going up in attack, had a terrific game. Isak, not only because of his goal, but throughout the match, he was there. He was lively. He was involved in the game, defensively or even in attack, in counter attacks. Gordon, the ball that he crossed in for the sack goal was brilliant, and otherwise in the entire match he was absolutely like a live wire. So, do you think Newcastle are now slowly turning a corner here?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have talked about Gordon being a good asset from Gameweek 12, and I kind of uh, for I kind of thought that Isak would and Gordon would slowly come into that pace. I mean, they were there, they were good. It was not just clicking against Brighton. If you remember, Isak and Gordon had a flurry of chances, which they couldn't convert. I mean, there were a number of one v ones which Isak couldn't convert.
Even
Uh,
against Everton, if you remember the nil-nil
yeah,
game, flurry of
exactly.
chances which they couldn't finish.
It was Gordon, right? I mean, Isak wasn't
Yeah,
playing. It was Gordon who had a number of chances. And even against Chelsea, Isak was brilliant. He got a, I mean, he had those headers in him which Reece James stopped, and he converted, won this game. I mean, now people will talk about what Gabriel's positioning could be, how uh, let's say how Arsenal could have blocked that cross, but taking nothing away from Newcastle, it was a brilliant goal. I mean, that cross and that header, it was just perfect. I
yeah.
don't think it's a goal anyone could have stopped. I mean, like we see free kicks, those incredible top corners, it was something like that.
And just because you took Gabriel's name, I would just touch upon Arsenal's defense. And see, we can talk about their attack and Odegaard missing and everything, but the fact that their defense has not kept a clean sheet in the last 5 game weeks, and that had some very easy fixtures in them, especially that they're playing Rice, Merino, Party, or four defenders and such a flat midfield and defensive midfielders all around. Do you think? Not do you think? I would say what do you think is wrong with the defense? Because this is a quality defense. We know that we've seen that for more than one season now. But what is going wrong in defense? Do you think?
Instability. So it's if you if we talk about the best defense in the league that was last season, there was uh, Saliba, Gabriel, and White on the right side. That was constant throughout. They knew what each other were doing. They knew if Gabriel went out, Saliba had that. And White bombing forward, Saliba had him covered. That's what enabled White to bomb forward. Now, the only thing was the left changing with Tomiyasu, Zinchenko playing a lot of games, and it was
Kiwi or
changing, and
play? Yeah.
QE playing, which resulted in a lot of goals conceded, and that's what uh, Arsenal needed to rectify, and I think they did with bringing in Calafiori. And now suddenly Arteta has been chopping and changing. I mean, I didn't expect White to be ever benched. I mean, he did get benched for Calafiori playing on the right. Sorry, Timber playing on the right and Calafiori on the left. That sudden change in the back four, and they have been changing quite a lot. I mean, it was 10 men where one of them got red carded. It was again another match where Gabriel got injured. So it's a way too unstable at the moment to be considered a watertight defense.
And I think the boon of having too many good defenders has now suddenly turned into a curse, and because you have to
But
give
they're all
game
injured.
time.
Uh,
No, you have to give game time. As you see, when everybody was fit, Ben White was benched. The first benching that Ben White had, he was not injured that game. He was just benched. And
but
now sometimes Timber is playing on the right, sometimes Timber is playing on the left.
yeah,
When
that
Calafiori comes in, Timber is on the right or Ben White is on the right. So this chopping and changing is, I think,
exactly.
what is creating the instability. If you just chop the left side, I mean, just rotate the left side with Calafiori and Timber, it's still okay because that is what they did last season as well. And you had your goalkeeper and three defenders stable.
Yeah,
And
and
I don't,
Timber,
yeah,
yeah, I think Timber could also play the CDM or the CM role. I mean, if you want to give Timber some game time, you can substitute a Partey and then bring him in.
yeah.
And Timber is quite good in attack and has that aggression that
I
we
think
expect from a
even
CM.
Calafiori is good in attack. We've seen not only his goal against City, but otherwise we've seen him being quite good going
Yeah.
forward. He has a
So
good
I'm
left
just
foot.
thinking of keeping the back four constant. It's like
Yeah,
White, Saliba, Gabriel, and Calafiori, and then
yeah.
you play Timber in the cup games or Champions League. I mean, Timber the Champions League games are quite tough, and Timber is a good player. I mean, it's not like he's playing the Carabao Cup.
Yeah,
So
but this season in Champions League also we'll get that odd, easier fixture because
yeah,
there are a lot of teams here. So de definitely, I agree with you. I think instability has been one of the causes, and again, Arsenal just I think they need to they need Odegaard back and they need to stabilize their defense first and get their basics right because they identify themselves as a good defensive unit.
defense first. Yeah,
Yeah, so I think their prime confidence will come back from getting the clean sheets back first, because their leadership starts from the back. Then you could feel that in their play. So
absolutely.
yeah, so I think that's that on Arsenal and Newcastle both. I think contrasting performances there. Let's move ahead to the
The
game we
most
were looking
boring game
forward.
of the
Yeah,
of the
and
week.
I think we were looking forward to this game the most while previewing the game week, and this turned out to be I will not say a snooze fest because this was a boring match, but it did have those spark of few big chances. I think every chance that was created in this game felt like it was going to result in a goal, especially from Manchester United. And how Garnacho came out of this game without a goal or a return or assist is absolutely beyond me because he got the cream of the chances that were created. So many chances. There was one shot he couldn't sort his feet out. Another one he blasted over the bar when he had just Sanchez to beat.
Yeah,
So many chances for Garnacho. I think Rashford had a good game. Hit the post. Madueke hit the post first half. Uh, So, what did you make of the game? I'll give my thoughts on this a little later. What did you think of the game?
so I felt like the United's attack was toothless. I mean, the whole reason I benched Colwell was because I was feeling that United would attack at Old Trafford. I mean, they should have made an example. I mean, even though they would lose, but they should have attacked. So that's where, and a point that you made was Hoyland dropping deep. We don't expect the United number nine to drop deep. I mean, ever. So we would expect Bruno, number nine, whoever it is, Hoyland, mostly Rashford and Garnacho all bombing forward. So I think that's what contributed to the game being uh, quite boring. And Maresca, the one good thing that Maresca did was having a good, let's say, more of a sorted defense than we would expect of Chelsea going into this game. I mean, he didn't want to lose at Old Trafford based on the past records that they have.
Yeah, and I think just for context for the audio guys, we have a slideshow that and a point is written here that Hoyland dropped deep to play false nine, which Shura was just referring to right now. Uh, I think again on this game to start with from the lineups, I think Neto started, but I think instead of Sancho on the left, but I think he had a very quiet first half. Although the second half, I think he came alive,
When
and
he stepped it to the right.
yes, and he had a good shot. I think a very close shot, just skimmed off the far post. Um, Paul Palmer, I think, was absolutely quiet. Did not have much of an impact in this game. Um,
He didn't. Sorry.
Again, more like Liverpool.
Yeah.
Kind of, I think, again with Liverpool, I think how we saw Gravenberch, Curtis Jones pin him down, and in this game also we saw, Casemiro, Ugarte, and all those uh, defensive midfielders just shut him down.
Yeah. I would. uh, I would say that the game that it was not a football game; it was more of a basketball game. It was bouncing, the ball was bouncing here and there, and that contributed to Palmer's, let's say, not being the magical boy he is. He didn't have a poor performance at all. I mean, he was absolutely brilliant when he got the ball. He dribbled past players, got
Hit nutmeg the entire United squad
yeah,
for fun. I mean,
exactly.
there are so many highlights on X and everywhere of just Cole Palmer nutmegging everybody.
Yeah, but the game was I mean, so bad that I mean, him getting into good positions, and he couldn't, let's say, pass the ball. Jackson wasn't there somehow because Jackson was like guarded by two players, and with Licha being there and stomping everyone's foot, I think Jackson was a bit scared of it. So
Yeah, so not a very free-flowing game
absolutely,
in short. Although even being a Chelsea fan, I thought United had the better quality of chances.
okay,
They could have easily scored two more, if not one more. And having said that, Enzo Fernandez should have made it 2-1 to
yeah,
Chelsea
it should have.
in the 80 something minute, I think. And to miss that chance from Enzo Fernandez, absolutely so frustrating. And this is what we keep getting from Enzo. And no, this is really that was almost just a lob over the keeper, and with a fair distance to go.
He
So
could have placed it in the bottom left corner as well.
yeah,
A grounded shot
a
would have,
little more
yeah,
composure would have really opened up a lot of options for him. He just he just tried to lob it in haste without sorting his feet out. Uh, I think I was impressed with Garnacho, although his finishing was poor, but his positioning, the liveliness that he always shows, I was impressed with that. I think I was very impressed with Rashford's passes, although he was a little deep, but again, passes were very sharp. Hoyland, I think the penalty that he won was his first touch in the penalty
yeah,
box all
in the
game in the
penalty box.
second half. So that much how deep he was playing. That penalty in itself was so frustrating to concede from Robert Sanchez. Again, like Liverpool, big game, and your goalkeeper does a mistake, concedes a penalty. This is just not how Chelsea can, expect to be in the conversation for being champions, or I think even being in the top four, if this kind of a performance continues over a long period of time. You were saying something, sir.
Yeah, no, I would. I mean, that's the very crucial point that was you made. That Chelsea, I would expect Chelsea to win this game against United with their attack, but with that defense, Sanchez making mistakes and giving away chances. They could very well score two or three, but very well concede two or three as well. I mean, that's how they would drop points.
Yeah, I agree with you. And Madueke as well. I think the amount of times he can run and get into those good positions, but just refuses to cross or get his head up and cut back or look out for somebody. The only option he has is to shoot in his head. The only option that he has is to just shoot for himself. And yes, you do want wingers who are a little selfish or who are aggressive and who are shooting. But you want to balance that out with, especially in big games, you want to balance that out with the opportunity that you have in the box, the runners that you have in the box, and what better you can do. And I think Madueke is now starting to feel a little frustrating on that right hand side. I think
Absolutely.
a Sancho on the left and a Neto on the right might be something that we see very, very soon from Maresca if
Yeah.
this kind of performance continues.
And Maresca's system, yeah, even with Leicester, relies heavily on their wingers.
Yeah,
I mean, we did need wingers because Palmer was there. He creates a hell lot of chances. But yeah, with Madueke, they're wasting when Palmer would be, let's say, man marked. We need or a lot of creativity from that right hand side. So
yeah,
Neto has been doing his job. So I think Neto and a Sancho combo is near.
yeah. Agree with you. And a quick shout out to Moises Caicedo. I think he had a brilliant game. I think the best player on the pitch
Absolutely.
by a mile. He got his goal, but apart from the goal, again the most involved. And I think I said this again uh, for the Liverpool game as well, that Caicedo looked so involved and was almost playing where Palmer was supposed to be in the near the number 10 in the center of the pitch. Uh, but it's the same again. I think with United, he was the best player. He was just everywhere, so involved, had control, and just looked like a good player. So yeah, that's that. I think a small concern going ahead. I think with Cole Palmer, there are rumors of a knee injury. Um, I didn't think much of it till just before the pod. I think I read a report where it is rumored that he's out for 3 weeks. That
I
would
don't.
be just
Yeah,
brilliant news for Arsenal and absolutely crushing for Chelsea.
I think it's unlucky for Chelsea. I don't think Palmer is out. I saw him. Uh, I mean, in after the full time as well, he was he was he wasn't limping. He was quite looked quite fit. Doesn't I don't think it's a injury. It could be a knock. But yeah, I mean, if he's out, it's unlucky for Chelsea. First, United, ETH leaves, then against Chelsea. Sorry, then against Arsenal, your best player becomes injured, and Odegaard comes back. It's just
Yeah.
tough luck.
Let's see. I just hope that Cole Palmer is fit, not only for Chelsea but because of the game and for the guy himself. He's just uh, playing such amazing football, and you wouldn't wish an injury to break his rhythm at this point. Just a fun fact for the audio listeners: Manchester versus United is actually the most drawn game in Premier League, which coincidentally again uh, ended in a draw. So if you want to bet the next time it's a Chelsea versus Manchester United fixture, there's your tip.
That's
Right,
fair.
sure. Let's move ahead to another breathtaking game. I would say Spurs versus Aston Villa. We did expect in the preview to have goals from this game, but a 4-1 result is definitely something that I did not expect. For Spurs to hit 4 goals against a Villa defense, and for all those 4 goals to come in one single half, the second half. So this was a little bit of a surprise in terms of the defense from Aston Villa, and more so with the performance. Where are you with Aston Villa and their performance, and Spurs also, you know, losing to Crystal Palace 1-0, then winning against Aston Villa 4-1, a kind of a hit and miss for both teams this season.
Yeah, I think both are good going forward. Spurs, like I've said multiple times, have no defenders, and which is true at the moment because Van de Ven is injured and Romero is also out for a week and a half. So
And that's why
Romero
I was high on the Watkins pick as well. I
Yeah,
thought, and
Watkins
he
should
had
have scored.
he had 2 big chances. He just didn't put them away in the first half.
And yeah, I think whatever we had predicted in terms of gameplay or game plan happened. Watkins got chances, and Spurs conceded from a set piece. It was very poor defending from a set piece. Digne could have had a few assists that were from set pieces as well, and Villa's high line. And so it's mostly Villa's centre backs. I think Pau Torres and Konsa, they're not playing up to the Premier League standards. It's more like the West Ham centre backs at the moment. I mean, you see the second. It was the second goal, right? Which
Yeah,
which was
Solanke's
again
first goal and the
yeah,
second goal for
Richarlison
Spurs.
crossed it. It was again a cross from the left wing. So, and yeah, I mean, it was a brilliant play from Spurs, but to concede such type of goals, such type of tap-ins, I think it's. So no, sorry, it was the third goal. Yeah,
It was the third goal. The first goal
yeah,
was also a Son
cool.
cross for Brennan Johnson that he tapped in. And
Yeah,
then again, the third goal
Kulu's
was
assist. The
Uh,
second goal was Kulu's assist,
Second goal was Kudus assist.
which was bouncing off.
No,
I
he just
think,
put
and
it over the center backs and
yeah,
Solanke made a run. It looked so easy on the eye. So yeah.
and yeah, I think it's very poor defending from Villa, and going into Liverpool away, so they could concede a ton of goals.
I think Mings is back, and although it was a very lengthy injury, I think slowly and steadily we'll see Mings uh, come back probably into the lineup somewhere because
Yeah,
he's a good defender, Mings, I think.
he is a good defender, but so is Pau Torres. I mean, he has been playing for Spain,
And you can say
and
the same for Konsa. I think it's just not
something that's
clicking. Yeah,
not clicking.
individually
Uh,
they're all good players.
Yeah, and something on the right hand side, Cash has been extremely poor this season. I mean,
Yeah.
generally he runs quite a lot. He tracks back. He tackles. I mean, he has a lot. He used to get a lot of yellow cards because he was quite aggressive, and this season he hasn't been showing anything.
To be
And
honest with you, I think Cash is not as effective this season is because he's being asked to defend and Dinia is attacking from the left. If you remember last season, the time when you are speaking of, he used
yeah,
to get yellow cards and used to run.
yeah,
He was doing all the work that Luka Dean is doing from the
mm,
left. He used to be attacking. He used to be the one who was assisting and scoring goals. If you remember, we were all so high on Matty Cash and he was scoring and assisting for fun in the
yeah.
initial game weeks.
Yeah, it was the I think mostly the Matt Target era as well when Matt Target used to play on the left, where Cash always used to bomb forward quite a lot because Target sometimes used to be a part of the back three like Robertson,
Yeah.
and yeah,
Yeah, right there. So again, just a quick overview on the performances again. I think Villa, although they took the lead in the first half, I think generally their performance was poor. And maybe if Watkins could have finished at least one or probably both the chances because both were good chances, I think second half they could have shut it down, shut Spurs down and probably would have taken the game away from Spurs. But the fact that it went 1-0 into the second half kept Spurs in the game, and Spurs even in the first half were knocking on the door continuously, and second half Spurs just turned it on. I mean, Son unlocked their defense, and then he was surprisingly taken off at 55. He
yeah,
himself looked very disappointed, very frustrated at that, but they did not let their momentum drop. And Richarlison came on, got injured, and went off. But for the very brief period he was there, assisted a goal and looked okay. Madison, very surprisingly, has dropped to the bench. Came on and scored a very good free kick. But do you think Madison has lost his place now in this lineup?
uh, yeah. It's I think it's most to do with Sar playing because with Bentinker Madison and Kulusevski we have talked about it's a way to attacking formation, and I think
Mm,
Postecoglou has thought about it. He has adapted that I'm missing my center back, and I need to have a slight defensive mid. I mean, people who can defend in midfield. So yeah, I think that's why Madison is being benched. But I think going into the Ipswich fixture, Madison could very well start because Richarlison is not there, and Son. I don't expect Son to play 90 minutes because Ange came onto the post match conference and said that he has been managing Son. That's why the sub, and I think he would do the same against Ipswich if they take an early lead.
yeah, that's something to keep an eye on. So yeah, I think Spurs Aston Villa.
And
That's a
another thing, so just to talk about the attack part, I think this game suited Solanke because of how Villa was defending. They were not sitting back. I mean, any team that sits back appeals to a more or anyone any team which attacks like Liverpool or let's say Arsenal or City or Chelsea, that would affect Solanke because Solanke would need to drop back and they
yeah.
would try to attack on the counter.
Yeah,
So
but even in this game, Saurav, if you saw the first 70 minutes, Solanke was
yes,
absolutely not effective. He was dropping deep and everything. I think, and it was only I think when uh, kind of Son was taken off, and then Villa
Then
itself
I
started
think it
losing their shape, and that first goal, I think, is even if you see the first goal, the run that actually Solanke starts to make is behind Kulusevski. He's
correct.
actually deeper than Kulusevski, and then while Kulusevski is playing a couple of passes, I don't know who was there on the left, probably Richarlison. He actually comes from behind Kulusevski, and then Kulusevski spots him and puts a ball through. If you see the entire sequence of play there, so good for Solanke. I think this should give him some confidence. And once you get into a goal scoring rhythm, you tend to keep scoring. But again, for the first 70 minutes, I think he was still deep. The concerns that we were having with him. It was
I
only
think
after that he started going forward.
I think the Ipswich game, I feel like Solanke would be deep as well because Ipswich also attacks. They won't sit deep and they would keep on attacking. They would need someone uh,
But it's at
to
home for
f-
Spurs, so let's see
yeah.
how the gameplay plays out because Ipswich would be away from home. If this was Ipswich playing at their own home, then I would have been more certain of Solanke dropping deep. Let's see how Ipswich play away from home, and because Spurs at home, Spurs are generally extremely attacking as we saw in this game as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so these are the main games that we wanted to cover in detail. Now coming on to the results, and for our audio guys, we'll read the results as we cover them. Few of the few more of the matches that hold some significance. Uh, so sure, from these results, let's talk about Wolves first. Wolves and Crystal
Yep.
Palace 2-2. What I thought this was a good chance for Wolves to get their first win. I think they had a couple of very good chances apart from the ones they scored, and I, again conceding from set pieces. Wolves have been conceding from set pieces for fun this season.
And so is Crystal Palace also. I mean, not from set pieces, but in general.
Yeah. Um, 2-2, I think both teams would be a little disappointed and would have thought that they could have won this game. Uh, and
But still, I
other
think Crystal Palace could have won it. It's Chalobah doing
he blocked
some
Mateta's
stupid
shot.
stuff. Yeah, he blocked Mateta's shot. He
He
got
could
an
have actually scored
excellent
it himself.
score. Yeah, and he got
Actually,
an excellent chance also. Yeah, I mean before that, before Mateta
yes,
took that
yes.
shot.
Because even if he doesn't block Mateta's shots, it would have been offside because he would have been
Mm.
interfering with play. He was so close to the ball. So actually, the chance was when the ball fell to him, and it was just a tap into an open goal, and it hit his thigh of the other leg and bounced off to Mateta, who gave it
And
a good
even
smack.
yeah, Mateta could have scored, and also the goal that um, Cunha assisted to Larson. I think
That was
yeah, it
Chalobah's
was
fault.
that was Chalobah's fault. He gave it away.
Definitely,
So
that should never have been a goal. But yeah, there were a couple of very good chances from that. One of which that strikes out to me was one which fell to Pablo Sarabia, I think, on the right. In the
yeah, Wolves could have scored a couple because
couple of
yeah, I
more,
think
yeah,
two chances to
yes.
Sarabia.
And Wolves have generally been a good finishers. I mean, they create chances on the counter and they finish it off. They don't really waste too many chances. So
And if you remember Sarabia especially, I think he came off the bench and was it against Liverpool? He scored that excellent volley
yeah,
last
yeah.
season.
Last season, Sarabia was very, very good. I
Was the
don't think he
Sarabia of
has.
Spain.
Yes, he has not hit that level this season, and suddenly you would wonder where He Chan has also gone. He was playing so well last season. He's
Yeah.
injured now, but he just did not start the season at all with Wolves. And with Neto going, I thought Sarabia and He Chan would become very crucial to this team, but both of them have really not really turned up. So from Wolves, I think if we can move on now.
Yeah.
Let's go to the yesterday's game, Fulham Brentford.
Yeah. I
Uh,
think we both of
Weird
us
game.
expected Fulham to win.
Yes, both of us expected Fulham to win, and they won. But in terms of the game and those 90 minutes of watching that game, if You watched it. It was nothing like what we expected, although the result was. But just Fulham were, the Brentford clean sheet just looked locked just till
Yeah.
Mbomo was subbed off.
Yeah, I think that killed the game because I mean you can't take uh, your main player who always plays 90 minutes off when you're just one goal lead away to Fulham.
Yeah, and this just shows that even 5 to 7, 10 minutes of lapse in Premier League could really punish you. And I don't think Mbomo was injured or had any knock.
Oh,
He just didn't need to be taken off, and it was an unnecessary switch for a defender, and yeah, it cost
yeah,
them.
and Thomas Frank thought that his defenders could defend. I think that's a very poor sub because I feel like Mbumo also does a lot of defensive work.
Yeah.
He used to play the right back position at times
No, he did a
in
lot
the
of work in
champion.
this game
Yeah,
because he did not have
in
a
this
single
game as
shot.
well.
He didn't have a single shot on goal. So all he was doing was playing for the team and doing all the, you know, whatever needed to be done in terms of defense. And in last 4 minutes, you would expect him to, the kind of player he is, you'd expect him to give his all defensively as well.
Yeah.
So
And
I
even
think
then, also has a shot in him. I mean, he could very well uh, turn a counter into a effective goal.
true that, true. So yeah, Fulham Brentford, not no goals from the popular assets like Raul or Smith Rowe, but from the bench, Harry Wilson delivered both the goals and assists for Adama and Anthony Robinson. So good game there. What else? I think the shock I think for this week was apart from again Arsenal and City. I think the other minor shock was Southampton winning against Everton and Everton
Yeah,
not
their first win.
their first win against a Daesh defense. That is something. And Everton again failing to score at all. I mean, despite McNeil starting, they didn't really do much.
Yep.
Another,
So yeah, Everton. I think Everton's attack is also not not clicking at the moment. I mean, they have been doing fairly well, but yeah.
yeah,
So
and DCL's blank. I think he was substituted at 63 minutes for Beto. McNeil was taken off, and India was taken off. So I don't know. Weird game. I really did not expect it to go the way it did.
yeah, and with the pressure on Dice, it could be Beto starting the next game. I mean, anything could happen in that Everton.
But that would be so ironic because he's just come out and said just before this game, I mean after the last game, that Beto is not ready to start and he needs to do a lot more work to be
But
due
every
to
time Beto came off, he looked good. I mean, he had a goal which was chalked off due to offside. But
yeah,
he's better than, I mean, at least he's finishing, putting the ball in the net.
true that. And talking of putting the ball in the net, who better than Chris Wood? Nottingham Forest beat West Ham 3-0. Is this
Going to the
Wood
third position.
Is this Wood train ever going to stop? And Nottingham Forest seriously impressive, not only with Chris Wood but even with their defense. Um, 3-0 with at West Ham. I think this is to at home to versus West Ham. I think this is a statement win and being third on the table after 10 game weeks. I don't think Nottingham Forest would have expected that if you asked them at the start of the season.
Yeah. I mean, they won't definitely finish third, but a top half or even a sixth, seventh finish is a very good result from a
Well,
Nuno team.
you have to say that with a pinch of salt that they won't finish there. You remember the Leicester season when they won the league? Even till the last 4 or 5 game weeks, everybody was like, now they're going to slip up. At least now they're going to slip up. So anything can happen, but good. It's a very good performance from them, and it's refreshing to watch Nottingham Forest really put up a fight. They're a club with a very rich history. They have won the European Cup, so it's good to see them where they are at this point.
Yeah, and Nuno is quite bold with his team selection as well. He's is changing his tactics and then keeping players on their toes. It's not like Gibbs White was immediately back or James Ward-Prowse was immediately back after the. He's adapting to the system, and that's what that's clicking. I mean, Wood came out in last game week in a press saying that. It's the system, it's the players that's delivering the ball to him. I think he had just one or two chances this game week and he converted one. I
Yes.
mean, yeah, that's I mean that's the thing that.
And his shot conversion is about 37%, which sounds unsustainable, and it's actually too high, but he's sustaining it at this point.
But if he's getting chances that close to the goal, and if he's on this run of form, uh, I think that talks a lot more about the team than just Chris Wood.
Yes, and also about Chris Wood, credits to him to know for him to know what his strengths are, and
Yeah,
he doesn't try to do too much. He knows I can't drop deep, can't defend, can't carry the ball. What am I? I am a number nine, proper number nine. I am good in the box, around the box. I can head the ball, and I can just receive the ball and then shoot and score. I can't do too much of fancy stuff, and he limits himself to that space around the box and doing the things that he's good at. Doesn't try to overdo things.
absolutely.
So I think we've covered
We've
all
covered.
the results. I think Ipswich Leicester is the only game we did not mention. 1-1 draw there. I think both teams would have loved a win. Ipswich needed probably that win a little bit more than Leicester, and they almost had it, but a late goal from Leicester
And
again.
an important point for Leicester as well.
Yeah,
They have
and
to.
Leicester, we have to remember, have already clinched a couple of very important wins, and yeah, they're more and more looking like they're going. They're getting those points in their kitty early in the season.
Yep.
Right then, we've covered everything. Anything else that you would want to talk about here, Shura?
No, I think we have covered it all mostly. So, I think,
Yeah. So yeah, overall a very good game week of football. Very fun to watch. Some results we liked, some results we didn't as fans. But yeah, this leads us to the next game week now. This weekend, game week 11, before we an international break follows. So that would be another time to just reflect back on the season. We have Champions League football. We are recording this on Tuesday, so tonight and tomorrow night we have Champions League football. So if you're playing FPL and you're thinking of making some transfers, hold on for the next couple of days because there could be injuries. Wait till you hear from the managers. Uh, you get to hear from them once one time more than what you do usually in a game week. So listen for injuries to Palmer. There could be injuries uh, about update on injuries for Odegaard and KDB. So these are important players for your teams. On that note, we'll conclude this episode. If you are watching this on YouTube, as usual, please subscribe and like this video. Uh, and if you're listening to us on audio platforms, you can reach us on X, Instagram, and Threads at FooTea Fantasy. Uh, Drop us a comment, drop us a reply, and we'd love to interact with you. If you're listening again on audio platforms, please do follow our podcast and do let us know how you find our content and if you would like to us to improve somewhere. And we are all ears.